Hey everybody, Sam here. Today I wanted to show you guys the Canon EF 50 Prime. So let me go ahead and mount it here on my trusty Canon 60D. Now this is not an EFS lens, so it mounts on the red line, and so even though it's a 50 prime lens, on a crop sensor everything's magnified 1.6 times, so that comes out to about 80 millimeters, I think, something like that. So if you put this on a full crop sensor, it would look a lot wider than it does on a crop sensor such as the 60D, 7D, or any of the Rebel series cameras. But outside, this is what it looks like. Keep in mind I have a protection filter on the top here, so it's not quite that long. But it's a pretty short lens. I think it's the smallest lens that Canon makes in terms of size. It looks alright on bodies. It's like the cheapest build you could possibly imagine. It's just this polished plastic. I mean, it looks alright. I mean, but it looks kind of like a toy. Take off the cover and you'll see that it is a 52 millimeter filter size. See if I can take this off just to show you the inside there. See, the lens glass, the front element, does not come right out to the end. It's kind of back there a little bit, which I kind of like. Let me screw on my cheap UV filter. Okay. The manual focus ring is pretty pathetic. I don't know if you can see it, but it's just this little end ring right here. You just use that right there. It's usable, but it's not that fun. You have to have pretty steady hands if you're going to want to fine-tune it there manually. Autofocus speed is decent. Keep in mind that this lens costs roughly $100, so it's not, you know, gonna have USM focus or anything, but that's from 0 to infinity. No window or anything, but it's decent and it seems pretty accurate. I'll throw up some pictures in a minute of what the pictures look like. But this is kind of an overview of the exterior. You've got one switch here for auto manual focus. So yeah. The front element does not turn when you manual focus or autofocus, so that is very user-friendly for people who like circular polarizing filters or neutral density circle filters. So yeah. So now we're going to look at some pictures of the lens to give an idea of what the range looks like and the sharpness and whatnot. Let me see if I can crop this one in. There we go. So I'm focused on the whiskers here. And this lens is really sharp, surprisingly significantly sharper than any of the kit lenses out there. Here's another one here to give you an idea of the range, mainly the range because some of these are post-processed in Lightroom. So yeah, this one especially, it's not too far off from the original, but this was mainly to give you an idea of the range. And here's another one right there. Let me see if I can crop in on those clouds. And I don't know how sharp you expect your clouds to be, because clouds are fuzzy anyway, but that's what that crop looks like. We'll get a couple more up here. I do believe I only played with contrast and brightness on this one. No color correction or sharpening done on this one. Let me see if I can get a crop on that to show you what that looks like up close. Unfortunately, I'm not sure of my focal points on this. I think it was the sign. I'm pretty sure it was the sign, but that's what that looks like up close. And this lens does not have macro capabilities, but you can get up pretty close. I think it's 1.3 feet as the closest distance you can focus at. This one, obviously, contrast, blacks, and brightness played with, but let me crop that in so we can see the sharpness. I don't think I played with the sharpness, by the way. So there's that up close. Pretty sharp. I mean, it's pretty close to what you get on an L lens. I mean, let me do just a couple more here. So again, to give you an idea of the range, let me crop this one in. This mainly to give you an idea of what people look like in the focal range of this lens. You can shoot people with it, definitely not large groups, you're going to have to back up quite a bit, but it's a nice lens for some shallow depth of field, get a nice blurred background, you know, and that always looks good with people. So it's decent. It's definitely not a good walk around lens though, just because the focal range isn't that flexible. One last picture here to kind of show that what it's good for. It's really good for little artsy pictures where you want to get a nice shallow depth of field. You know, it has that wide open 1.8 aperture, so it's a super sharp lens. The CA is pretty bad on it. I've even noticed it on just like full screen no crop. Sometimes I've noticed the CA on it, but that's something you can get around. You know, it can be corrected. You can stop down the aperture a little bit to help out with that. But it's a super sharp lens. It's cheap. The build quality isn't that great, but overall it's a good buy.